Hey guys, how's it going? I have done my homework, and hopefully you have too. And I've gone ahead and I've drawn out my animals. Here's the elephant that we made together, and then I went ahead and I made a couple other elephants. I made kind of like this lazy purple one. I made this very attractive pink one, and then I made one that resembled kind of a weird circus clown. And by the way, I cut the legs out like that, simply using the knife tool, just in case you were wondering. But anyway, and then for the hippos, I made a couple versions of hippos, and then for the buffalo, I made a bright pink one, and then I made a brown one and gave them, some piercings and a teardrop tattoo, because, why not? So the next part of the assignment after we go ahead and do this is to create an environment for these animals to live in, kind of like a Zootopia, if you will. But I've been doing this assignment way before that movie came out. So I have a blank document here, and I want to use this as an opportunity to show you how to use a few other tools. And one of those is going to be this tool right here. This is the artboard tool. The artboard tool allows us to create new artboards on the fly if we want. So I can create a second artboard if that's something that I want to do. In this case, that's not, so I'm going to undo it. What this tool will allow us to do is modify our artboard, because right now it's preset at letter, which is what I want, but it's a portrait. And I think a landscape is going to serve me a lot better. And as simple as clicking that little button will allow me to go ahead and just change the way that my artboard is viewed. So I'm going to go ahead and click off of this onto the selection tool, and there I've just modified my document. A lot of times people think they have to start new. That's not the case. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to have just like a city scene, like, I'm going to have maybe like some buildings in the background and a sidewalk. And I just essentially want to just, again, keep practicing with the pen tool a little bit. I'm going to tell you right now, mine is going to be demonstration quality. That's it. It's not going to be great. It's not going to be fabulous. And I expect yours to look better than mine. But with that said, let's play around here a little bit. So I know that I want a sidewalk. That's definitely something that I want. So I'm going to move some of these windows out of the way. And I'm going to use one of those tools that I said was useless to create the sidewalk. I'm going to use this tool here, the rectangular grid tool, okay? And you may remember this tool. It gave us kind of like Excel, kind of grids. And what I'm going to do is I have this thing active and it's pulled out. I'm going to use my down arrow, and I'm going to tap it as many times until all those horizontal lines disappear. And then I'm going to use my left arrow, so I only have a handful of kind of like separations here. And essentially what I'm going to do is I'm going to create this rectangle just with these separations in here, and I can color it, and those separations are there, and that's fine. So that's what I want to do. I want to create a sidewalk. Now that looks really bad for a lot of reasons, but one of them is it's just really flat. So I'd like to modify that so it's not so flat, and I'm going to use a transformation tool, this thing right here, known as the free transform tool. And what that allows me to do is, and this is a Creative Cloud thing, so if you have CS6, this little HUD, this heads up display, does not exist, but still it will work the same way. Okay, so I'm going to click on the perspective distort, and watch, I'm going to pull this out. And on CS6, I want to say that it is, you can hold down Command and, yeah, there it is, Command, Option, and Shift, and you can make the same exact thing happen as using this perspective distort. So this will just allow this to sit so it feels a little bit flatter, okay? And again, I'm just trying to create a sidewalk, and I want it to be a little bit bigger, and you might say that it's going past the document bounds, which it is, and that's a-okay. because nothing is going to print that is in off of the artboard. So we'll pull this out a little bit, and I'll go ahead and I can make it kind of wider, or I can make it taller, and essentially I can just have that depth there. And I'm going to name my layer sidewalk. Now I want some buildings, just a couple, maybe a storefront or something like that. So what I'm going to do is I'll make a new layer, and I'm going to start out with the rectangle tool because it's easy. And I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to build a rectangle, and I'm going to color it maybe like a greenish kind of color. And I could definitely put some texture on here if I want. I could do that rectangular grid tool again, and actually I could go the other way. I can press the left arrow and go ahead and have no vertical dividers, and use the up arrow and have a ton of horizontal dividers. And then what do I end up having here, guys? I have like aluminum siding. So there we go. There's green. It's like kind of like a clapboard aluminum siding. Again, it's all right if I'm kind of cut off in the artboard. That's no big deal. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to rearrange my layers in a little bit, but what I definitely want is a doorway. And so I'm going to create that utilizing a rectangle tool. Okay. And I think I want like a door jamb as well. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put a rectangle inside a rectangle here. Oops. So something like this. So it's like there's a door jamb that surrounds my door. And so let's go ahead and select this. Let's make it, I don't know, kind of like an off-white maybe. And then this right here, this is going to be the door. And I kind of want it to be like a glass door. So I'll make it like kind of grayish, right? And then I'm going to put yet another rectangle right here on top of this, just like this. And I'm going to color it a blue. And I'm going to also go ahead and maybe take my stroke and make it like, put it on like half or something like that, like a half a point. And I can take the opacity and bring it down a little bit. Let's see how that looks. It might look good. It might look not so good. Let's check it out. Not too bad. I think it needs that reflection in it as well, though, kind of like what we did when we were making the faces. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start out just with a rectangle here, and I'm going to drag it on over. Let's try a different tool as well. So we have the scale tool, and then we have this thing here called the shear tool. And the shear tool will allow me to go ahead and take a rectangle and shear it, or basically put it at an angle like this. And that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to just go ahead and put a little glare in here, and then take my opacity down a little bit more. I might shift this up. I might put a second one in here, maybe make it a little smaller. Just kind of like this. And then zoom in. See how it's kind of overhanging that a little bit? Let's just get it inside of this path. There we go. Same thing with this one. Get inside the path. There we are. Maybe select both of these things together. Shift click this other one and use align. Center that right in place. Again, select this and this together. Click the big blue window. Put that glare in place. There we are. And let's go ahead and just put a handle on here. And it's going to be simple. It's just going to be this gray kind of, just kind of like rectangle here. And I will use the same color that is there. And again, that's a really big stroke. So let's bring it down maybe 0.75. That looks good. And then, I don't know, let's grab a pen tool and let's just go ahead and put like a little line here. Just like this. And then let's duplicate it. Maybe 0.25. There we go. How's that? That looks pretty good, right? Now, let's go ahead and let's put a big picture window in here. And again, I don't even know what this place is going to be yet. But I'm going to put a big hole in here. And I actually want to be able to look through it, and I want to be able to play around with that opacity. So if I put the opacity down, we see through it, and we see, you know, that siding that I created before, which isn't something I want to see. So instead, what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to try to Pathfinder it and see if it works. And it did. But oh no, look at that. It went ahead and it made it gray. Why did it make it gray? Because remember, when I mine it or when I exclude, it takes the property of whatever is on top of it, which was that gray box. Oh, that's too bad. Can I just go ahead and can I make my gray box just like the one underneath it? Well, I can make it the same color, but I can't give it that rectangular grid, which means I'm just going to go ahead and grab myself a second grid. That's all. And I want it to be very similar to the one that I have already. So how about that? And I'll color it a different color just so we can see that there's a difference. Okay? But here we go. Now let's select this and this and see if this works. Voila. It didn't work. Okay, well, that's too bad. I was expecting it to work. I was hoping it would work. But that's okay. You know what? We'll make it work. I'll just utilize my my pen tool instead, I guess. Thought maybe I could make life a little bit easier, but I guess it didn't want to work that way. That's okay. So I'll go ahead and honestly, guys, I've been using the software like that for like 20 years, or this software for like 20 years. I do that all the time where I try to do something and I'm like, oh man, it didn't work. And I just move on. I don't get stuck. I don't get hung up. I could sit there and I could Google for an hour and try to, figure out what's going on. But the beauty is that I know how to do the same thing like 5 or 6 different ways. And that's what you need to know. You need to know how to move on, because when you have a client that's waiting for you to do something, you can't just say, hey, I'm kind of busy doing XYZ right now, just trying to learn this thing. They're not going to wait for you for that. So anyway, here's a quick little shortcut. I'm going to select this thing and I'm going to hold down the Option key and I'm going to click and I'm going to drag and I'm going to bring down. And we did this shortcut once before when we were playing around with object and transformations. And I'm going to do this thing called transform again, because what I just did is I moved a copy. And watch, when I hit Command D, bam, it moves another copy. So if I just tap Command D, 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 I can get all the way down to the bottom. And it's kind of what I want, right? Still though, look at that. That window. I still got those lines there. Oh, that sucks. So what am I going to do? All right. So this didn't work as easy as I hoped, but that's okay. Again, what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to grab all the paths that go through the window. So these ones right here. And I could actually do it really easy by just doing a nice little net right there. And watch, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to grab this edge of the path. I'm just going to pull it on over right like that. And then I'm going to copy that right over to here. And I'm going to drag it on over here. That's all. And oops, looks like I missed them. So I'm just going to undo it and do it again. Get right there on the edge. I probably, there we are. And now we have, the open window here, okay? Oh no, all those lines are on top of the door. That's okay, watch. We'll select all these things. And I'll say Object, Arrange, and Send it back. And there, the door's in front now. Cool. And I'm going to grab all these things here. And I'm going to say object and group. And then I'm going to grab the door itself. Minus from the background, I'm going to say object and group. This way I can move this around independently. This way I can move this around independently. And it's not a big deal. Ooh, looks like I missed those sides there. Let's try that one more time. Object and group. Okay, so I got some stuff going on here. All right. Move this to the front again. Let's put a window back there again. Go ahead, just make a box. Gonna make it blue. Gonna lower its opacity. Just like that. Gonna go ahead and I'm going to make another rectangle. Just like this. Make it white-ish. White-ish. Lower its opacity again. Just like about that. And I'm going to shear it. Just like this and this together. They do not need to have strokes. I'm going to say object and group, and then say object, arrange, and send it back. And there we go. There's a nice little window right there, right? And that's pretty cool. And here's the best part about working with Pathfinders, right? This is really weird, okay? This isn't like what you would normally see in a window, right? It just wouldn't be that way, right? So I could go ahead and I could select with my white arrow tool, I could grab each of these corners here. And then watch, I'm gonna just tap it down a little bit or tap it up a little bit, okay? Just to prevent, you know, that kind of just weird looking thing. The last thing I want to make is a windowsill. And I'm going to do it with a rectangle again. Okay. I use a lot of rectangles. Yeah, that's definitely true. I feel that they work out really well. And I just want it to be a little bit darker, but not black. I'm just going to go ahead. I'm going to put it down here. Obviously, it's too big. So let's go ahead and let's scale it. Something like that ought to work out pretty good. Okay, I might want to put one on the top too. How does that look? It's looking pretty good, don't you think? Right? And I'm gonna just kind of eye it. It's a little too far on the right, so let's just move it to the left a little bit. Perfect. Okay, I could take the sill and I could go ahead and I could do a free transform again. Put a little bit of perspective distort on there if I want. Again, remember, this is not available in CS6, so you have to go ahead and hold down Command or Control on a PC, Option or Alt on a PC, and Shift. So it's either on a Mac, it's Command, Option, Shift, or on a PC, it's going to be Control, Alt, Shift, and you can pull those out just like I did there. And look at that. I have that. I could even go a step further, right? Make it look really fancy. Let's grab this and just copy it right down. Just like so. Get in here and line it up right like that. Like it's it's an actual sill. And I can even make it, I should make this part here a little bit darker. Like that. There we go. That's a nice little windowsill right there. Let's group that together. Okay. And if I want to, I could, I don't know, put a sign in the window or something like that. An open sign or something along those lines. I'm not going to go that far right now. But what I like, or what I see is something I like. At least I think it is. I'll try one last thing. I don't know if green's my color. At least I don't know if that green's my color. That's just the default green. I think I want it to be a little yellower. That's kind of like weird lime green. How do these things look? That's kind of cool. I want like aged city color. And I kind of dig that. All right. So I'm going to highlight this whole thing. I'm going to say object and group. And this is a building. Okay. So wait a minute. Hold on. You see part of it, here. It's just, listen, that's the white artboard. That's the gray backdrop. That's all. So let's go ahead and call that building. And we'll put that right about, I don't know, here. The building is on top of the sidewalk, so let's put that below the sidewalk. And there we are. Nice. Okay, cool. So what do I have next? What do I want to make next? I don't know. How about maybe like I can create what looks like an alley, and I can do it a couple ways. I can do it again with the rectangle tool, right? So I can just put a rectangle here, and then watch this. I'm simply going to go ahead and I'm going to take my free transform tool, and again on CS6 it would be Command Option Shift on a Mac or Control Alt Shift on a PC. But here, Creative Cloud, we have this awesome tool here, right? We have free distort and perspective distort. I want to use perspective, okay? So that way I can kind of move this around and do this with it. But I don't want to go, I want to do it like this. Do I? Or like that? Let's see. Does that look right? Kind of hard to tell. Let's turn the sidewalk off. Kind of sort of does, but at the same time it doesn't. I think I have my angle going the wrong way. Let's try that again. There we are. That's what I'm looking for. Yeah. Now we're cooking with gas a little bit here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just make this bigger than it has to be for two reasons. One, okay, when I'm over here on the artboard, nobody's going to know, okay? So it doesn't matter. And I want this to definitely be large, okay? I want to feel like there is some sort of, kind of depth happening here. I see it when I turn the sidewalk off, but I don't see it when the sidewalk's on. So I got to play around. I got to be a little closer here when the sidewalk is actually on. That looks really good, okay? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave that one like this. It's okay that it's like that. Again, no one's going to see this, right? You have to realize that this everything that falls in the gray, no one's going to see. Only the artboard is what matters at this point. And let's see. I'm going to just kind of copy what I have and then maybe modify it a little bit. So I don't know. Let's go ahead and let's just start with another rectangle. Just like this. Maybe move it to a new layer. Color it something else like red just so we're aware of it. And I don't know. Let's go ahead and build yet another rectangle. That's just a shade darker. Okay. Put it up close to this one. And let's use our perspective. Oh, wrong tool. If you accidentally turn that on like I just did, you have to have that highlighted. Then you can click on this little heads up display and hide the grid. And what I want to do is I want to use the free transform tool again and do this. And that's more along the lines of what I want. Let's hide our sidewalk here for a second. There we go. And I'm going to work on this a little bit more, and then I'm going to come back to it, and you're going to see what it looks like. And then essentially, I'm going to put the animals in the scene. So I'll see you when I got a little bit more done.